All right, guys, top of the morning. Happy February 25th, coming to you alive, coming to you well, coming to you happy here in Southern California, speaking at an event in a couple hours. And I will say this, and I'll say this again, time and time again, is that who is impacted by the result of your success? Listen, you guys, I had a nice dinner with my little brother here. He has been 1 year sober, okay, 1 year sober. He got custody of his son. He's in Bible college. He has 2 jobs right now. And the way that he's approaching life and the way that he's looking at life, right? He's just so clear. And for us to just be able to go as 2 brothers, sit on the water and like have a really cool meal. Like, I'm not saying it's that fancy of a meal, but it's just like for me to be able to say like, little brother, I got this meal, right? It just feels so good to be able to spend that time with him, know that he's in a healthy place. So you guys, I'm beyond grateful right now. I'm beyond grateful to be here with you guys, to be here with my brother here present in Southern California. And so I'm just stoked. A lot of things to be grateful for. So I'm excited for today. We're going to get into our guest speaker in a moment, but we're going to start this thing off like we always kick off, keep it moving. And that person is going to take us out on the field, set the tone, set the sentiment, and share their energy with the group. And that person, since you are center screen, since you are my co-pilot today, blessing, that person is going to be you. I'm going to have you share your thoughts, energy, and sentiment with the group per usual, because if you're a guest on the call today, that is what happens in Keep It Moving. We apply pressure, we believe in the power of the collective wisdom, and we make sure to pour into one another. So blessing, what do you have for us, big dog?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a beautiful day. And this is one of those mornings where, you wake up in your routine and you hear something that just shifts it. I was listening to a podcast this morning in the gym and heard that a lot of people, the neuroscientist said, 100% of the people who remain stuck are stuck because of their own thoughts. And our brains are not the same even from 2 days ago, 2 minutes ago, because we're constantly changing. That in the moment, you can decide who you want to be and change all of the thought patterns. You can change every part of your history. You can let it go and redefine where you are. So that's got me super pumped up and fired up this morning. So my ask to every single person on this call and everyone that you interact with today is it a story or is it you having agency over what you want to be and who you want to be? Show up as the person that you are meant to be, that's there to impact everyone around you, and just have fun with it. If you made a mistake, forget it and keep moving on. Learn from it, move on, don't forget it. But it's just lead with fire, lead with energy. You've only got one life, so go for it.
Yeah, I got it. This message. And listen, you guys, none of that is planned. When I ask somebody to bring us out on the field and share their thoughts and their sentiment for Keep It Moving, none of that is ever planned. But that's what happens when you're in these spaces, when you're given the mic, the pressure. Oh my God, what am I going to say? You just deliver something from the heart and it comes out so poetically. So I want to say thank you. Before we turn the mic over to our guest speaker, and it's not going to be a full presentation of him just showing slides. We're just going to have a conversation today, if that's cool with you guys. We're also going to leave some room at the end for you guys to ask any questions that you guys have for Jahi. And it won't be the first time that you see Jahi. He is a part of our world, and I want to make sure to bring him back in the future to continue the conversation. But I want to ask you guys a quick question before we get rolling. Is trust important to you? Please raise your hand. Give me an emoji on the screen if you believe trust is important to you. Okay. Do you believe that loyalty is something that you feel is super, super important to you? Okay, cool. I believe that as well. So how many of you have ever worked for a company or still work for a company and you have to be in at 9 o'clock and you have to check out at 5 p.m. Like you have a schedule, you have a routine. How many of you have ever worked for a company and you have to stick to a schedule, right? And what you stick to is you stick to a schedule because you're loyal to work for that company. How many of you have worked for a company, and when you think back of your contributions in that organization, you made that company millions of dollars? Please raise your hand. Millions of dollars. Okay. And so when we think about loyalty and trust, I think those two go hand in hand. I want you to ask yourself, do you trust yourself enough to show up for your business and be loyal to yourself? You see, if we could go and be loyal to somebody else's business, if we can go and help someone else build an empire and build millions, are you loyal to your own business right now? Are you loyal to your own business right now? If the Brianna Tejeda business was open today from 9 to 5 o'clock, is she being loyal? Can she trust herself to show up every single day for her business? And if the answer is a resounding yes, then I 100% support that. And if it's a no, then what do we do to change that? You see, at the end of the day, you have to trust yourself. You have to be okay with going through the hard stuff in this business, but you also have to stay loyal to why you're actually in this business. And I want to pause for a second. I want you to ask yourself right now, based on your activities, based on your systems, based on your flow, based on how you show up from a visibility standpoint right now in real estate, would you hire you? I would hire me. Okay. And I'm not, that's not braggadocious. That's not pompous. That's not anything other than I am confident. I am convicted based on how I show up, based on my discipline. I am 100% saying, yes, I would hire me. But you have to ask yourself right now, would you hire you? Do you train for the buyer consultation? Do you train for a listing presentation? Do you know your market? Are you sticking to the schedule that needs to be kept? Are you telling yourself over and over again that you trust yourself, you're loyal, it is showing up in your activities and your behaviors? I want you to be clear on that, and I want you to reflect for a moment. And every single person that's on this call, if I come back to you in a month and say, would you hire you? That moment of doubt, I want that shit gone. That moment you said, oh, I don't know, right? If they pulled back the veil, maybe my shit's not that good. In a month from now, I want you to say, absolutely, Elias. I've been loyal to myself, to my own business, to Astuto Enterprises, to Akuri Enterprises, to Vargas Enterprises. I have been loyal to that because I trusted myself every single day to show up, even when I did not want to. Does that make sense, you guys? Ophi, I've seen you do quite a few head nods. Give me a thought, contribution, and dialogue before we get the show on the road.
I mean, you always be a student, right? You don't know it all. There's always room to grow, but damn sure believe in yourself and be confident because you can. Because honestly, a lot of us have studied this material. We did pass our license. We are, depending on what level, you're just this much more of the average consumer. Just that little bit should give you some confidence and work on it so it can be this much. But go in there, you're a licensed agent. This person's not licensed. Stay in your lane and be confident.
Be loyal to yourself, to your own business, you guys, because we've all been loyal to someone else's business. And you wouldn't be late. You wouldn't be late, right? So if you were in a corporate job right now, are you in a position right now to get a raise? Are you in a position right now to be on a performance plan because you did not do the things that you know that you needed to do for that job? My friends, this is a career, this is a job, and it's going to demand you being loyal to yourself and trust that you're going to show up every single day, even when this business is hard. How many of you have taken some knocks on the chin over the last few months? Please raise your hand. How many of you are still wiping that blood off your lip? And how many of you are still showing up in the face of adversity? Because my chin is high, you guys. I met with challenges. I have my own things going on in my life. I have things that are pulling at us. But no matter what, my chin is high, my shoulders are back, and my chest is out, knowing that I will persevere no matter what. So that's the message and that's the sentiment. Before we get rolling over to our guest speaker, I want to give a huge shout out to a guest that we have on the call. That's not the guest that's speaking today, but it's Ilona. Ilona, my friend, listen, I've known Ilona for about 5 years now. I've watched her growth and her sister's on our team currently. And Ilona works for a different brokerage in the Bay Area. And we love you like family, my friend. But in the last, I'd say 60 days, you've gone viral. Like you've hit the algorithm. And I think what is great about what's happening is that she has taken people on an educational journey about Oakland and the roots of Oakland. And my friend, it has been so incredible to see how, boom, the stream picked you up. And now you have created continuous viral content. So I just want to say, my friend, I see you because you know that this has been something we've talked about for years. But I just want to say, friend to friend, coach to agent, human to human, my friend, I see you. Take yourself off of mute.
Thank you, Elias. It's so good to see all of you people and sit here, and it's so many memories. And I really wanted to be a part of this because you tagged me and I'm so interested in the subject. But thank you guys so much. It's been really cool and I love this journey. And I'm actually seeing results in real estate too. People are reaching out to me, asking me to list their properties, and it's just really cool. Just keep posting. Just keep posting.
You know what? I love it because for years she's been posting, and then finally some of the stuff just started to catch off, and now she's on something, and she does it from her car. I need the lighting. I need this. No, you don't. No, you don't. So if you can, Ilona, drop your handle down below and let's get into our guest speaker. So we're going to get into our guest speaker today. And the reason why he is here is because obviously we're in this business to help other people build wealth, but it's also important that we are building our own wealth. How many of you aspire to build a portfolio? Please raise your hand. To be able to have something that doesn't require you to grind every single year and have to sell a shit ton of real estate because you've been able to leverage your money. What happens is that oftentimes as realtors, what do? We ball out. Some of us make more money than we've ever made in our life. And unfortunately, what we do is we ball out. We live in the moment versus thinking long term. And so what I'm excited for today is for Jahi to kind of share his experience, share his journey, walk you through how in just 9 years, he's been able to accumulate. I'm hoping you landed that 26 doors in the last 9 years. And he's not pulling from each of them to buy, and I'll let him tell you the story, but he's truly built an investment portfolio that him, his family, and for future generations will have something as a sense of security. And so Jahi is an amazing human being. I know him from Fast Forward Movement. He serves high profile, high net, really, really high players when it comes to wealth. And he told me something a couple weeks ago. He's like, I work with wealthy people because I understand money, right? He understands money. And so I'm going to have Jahi kind of walk you through his story and tell you where he came from. We're going to start there. I have a series of questions lined out for us, and I gave them to him last night. But how many of you, raise your hands, came from humble beginnings? I'll raise both of my hands. Humble beginnings, didn't come from much. Listen, Jahi is no different. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my buddy, my friend, somebody that I look up to in the industry, Jahi Johnson. So Jahi, introduce yourself, my man, and let's start there with humble beginnings, and welcome to Keep It Moving as our special guest for this beautiful, beautiful session. Let's roll, my man.
So first, let me just tell you guys, Elias has been pushing me to be vulnerable and get in front of people and tell my story. This is the first time I'm ever telling my story in a public forum, so I'm a little nervous. So work with me.
So Jahi, really quick. If you've ever been on this call and you've been nervous and you had the jitters, throw an emoji on the screen. Throw your hands up. Okay, bro, that's the space that we've created here. Keep it moving, bro. You're in a really, really safe place. So let's go, Jahi. What do you got, man? Humble beginnings. Let's roll.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me first. I'm a real estate mortgage broker. I'm based out of Los Angeles, California. I'm also an investor. I've been investing since 2017. Like Elias said, I've accumulated 25 doors over that time. Haven't closed on that 26 yet. It's in escrow. We're waiting on some HOA paperwork. And I just learned about money at an early age, after I graduated college, not at an early age as a child. So a little background on me. I come from very, very humble beginnings. I was raised by a single grandmother in Sacramento, California. I grew up on welfare in Section 8. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. My family's from the projects on the east side of Cleveland, probably one of the worst areas in the country. When I was 4 years old, my uncle was in the Air Force and he got stationed in Sacramento at McClellan Air Force Base. Right around that time, that was the early 80s, that's when the crack epidemic was spreading through the Black neighborhoods like wildfire. And unfortunately, it impacted a lot of people in my family, including my parents. Sorry, guys. So my grandmother, she went out to visit give me 2 seconds. I knew
Hey,
this was
bro.
gonna happen.
Hey, take three. Listen, man, that's part of you sharing your journey, man. Like if Keep It Moving serves as a platform for people to share their journey, man, and have moments like this, that's what makes this session real, bro. That's what makes this coaching group real, man. Because I could look around the room and we've had moments, Ophelia and Ilona and Blessing. I can go on and on and on. Man, you are not alone. You got support. You got me. Keep cruising, man. I think you're doing an amazing job, bro.
Yeah, so my grandma, she went to visit my uncle. And within 2 weeks of her returning back to Cleveland, we packed our bags up, we jumped on a Greyhound bus, and we moved to Sacramento. My grandma had been in the projects her whole life, and she felt like if we stayed there that I would end up in jail or dead like most of the young Black men around there. I feel like if she didn't move me to Sacramento, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. My dad had 6 kids by 5 different women. And out of the 4 boys, I'm the only one that hasn't done double-digit years in prison. So my grandma moving me to Sacramento really changed my life.
Yeah. Shout out to the grandmas out there. Any of you guys raised by your grandmas? Yeah. Look at that, bro. Look at that. Man, really, really powerful stuff, man. So you moved to Sacramento and then you ended up obviously going to college and having some, some success in college and having some very, very high academic success. So kind of walk me through your grandma got you out of that environment. You moved to Sacramento, ended up going to college and landed at, one of the most prestigious schools in the United States of America, USC. So kind of talk us through how that all developed, bro.
My grandma just gave me tough love. She was real hard on me about getting great grades. She taught me work ethic at an early age. Even though I grew up on welfare, my grandma worked seasonal. So she worked at the franchise tax board. So during tax season, she was a key data entry and she would input pretty much your information into the franchise tax board system. So when you file a tax return, she's a person that gets the tax returns and puts it in the computer. She worked late hours. I pretty much raised myself because she worked from 3 to midnight so that she can get a little extra money to support her grandkid. So I would come home from school, she would leave me plate in the microwave, I would do my homework. At 16, she made me get a job. I started in 3 sports, but I would leave practice and I would go straight to closing a restaurant. So I leave practice at 6 o'clock, take a shower, go to a restaurant till 10 p.m., do homework till midnight, go to bed and do that all over again. So that got me to USC. At USC, I majored in sociology because I wanted to be a probation officer. I didn't tell you guys the whole story. I got in a lot of trouble when I was a kid, even though my grandma moved me away from the projects. I still got my fair share of trouble. So I felt like being a probation officer would give me the chance to give back to the community and maybe help some kids that face similar challenges that I did growing up. Right before I graduated, I also played football at USC. So right before I graduated, I sat down with one of my teammates' uncle, who was like one of the highest people in LA probation department. And he just told me, like, you're too talented to go in probation. You should pursue another career. At that time, we were having a career day at our athletic department, and I was getting a lot of interest from a lot of different companies because I got good grades and I played football at USC. Merrill Lynch recruited me to become a financial advisor because they told me, we were sending a lot of guys to the NFL, and they told me that they needed someone that they trust to manage their money. And so that's really when the trajectory of my life changed.
Yeah, and I think that when you think about catalyst moments, like that was somebody seeing in him what maybe he didn't see in himself and gave him a completely different direction. And so I had a couple questions for you. So when you entered Merrill Lynch and began serving, learning about financial planning and building wealth, like how long did it take you to start working with like high net people, entertainers, athletes? How did you correlate that networking background from USC? Because you always say that USC is like a networking college. How did you start to correlate that and start serving those people to have them trust you to help manage their wealth early on?
Start that at the very beginning. Like our minimum account size at Merrill Lynch, and this was in 1999, was $250,000, which is probably equivalent to about 2 million now. So I started with just teammates from USC that went to the NFL. So I had a couple guys that I played with that were top draft picks. Took me a year or so to develop that business relationship with them, but they trusted me. And I joined a team too. So I had some good people behind me. And I was able to use those two guys and kind of branch out to their teammates on their professional teams. Another thing I did is I joined a lot of alumni organizations. Like I said, USC is a networking school. So I went to one of our Trojan football alumni organizations, one of their meetings, and the first thing one of the older guys said, like a 70-year-old guy, told me, if you can shake hands and drink, you can make a lot of money at USC. And I was like, I do both of those well. Okay, let's get it. And so I just started networking with the alumni at USC and then a lot of guys in the NFL, and that's how I started my business.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so let's do this. Let's go from advisor to owner. So you're now a broker, a mortgage owner, and investor of a 25-door portfolio. And before we get into the portfolio and talk about cost segregation, depreciation, all those things, like how did you go from being a financial planner, getting your lender's license, your LMNO or LMO or what is it called, whatever. Yeah, and then to get your real estate license, like how did that all start to develop?
So when I was a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, a lot of the athletes, they didn't trust the stock market. Most of them are first generational wealth. So they would buy real estate, but they wouldn't invest in the stock market. And as their advisor, they came to me for everything. So I was overseeing all of their real estate transactions. We actually had a mortgage company inside of Merrill Lynch, so I was doing all the lending for them already. At that point, you didn't need a mortgage license to do lending. Anyone that was a real estate agent or a financial advisor, if you had access to a bank, you can do the lending. So I was already doing the lending for them, and then I was overseeing all their real estate transactions. The more and more I started overseeing their real estate transactions, my passion for the industry grew. And so in 2006, I went and got a real estate license just so I can refer the business out to most of my clients. Ended up in a different market than where I was because they get drafted. They'll end up in Detroit. They'll end up in Miami. So I got a real estate license strictly so I can refer the business out and get paid because I was already doing all the work for them. I was analyzing all the comps. I was picking the agents for them. And then in 2010, I just decided to go into real estate and mortgage full time because I was just doing a lot more transactions on that side of the business than I was on the investment side.
Wonderful. So let me ask you about patterns. As you've worked with wealthy people and how you've built wealth for yourself, so you've worked with athletes, entertainers, executives, high earners. What patterns consistently create lasting wealth and what behaviors are destroying them, right? You said like a lot of athletes that get a lot of money and maybe they don't distribute it correctly. What are some of the positive habits that you've seen and some of the habits that have destroyed wealth in your career, analyzing this and working with so many high profile people?
I think the most important thing is to develop a budget and develop a plan. And try to stick to it as much as possible. And that's where most people go wrong. We had athletes that we would develop a budget and a plan for, and they would never stick to it and they wouldn't try to. We actually used to set up separate accounts for some of our athletes. So they would have a spending account and then they would have their investment account with most of their money in there. And what we try to do is put their budget in the account for the month so they know when they ran out of money. And a lot of times that didn't work. I'm getting calls at 2 a.m. because they're at the club trying to spend $20,000 on a table on liquor and bottles, and their card is getting declined. So that's where a lot of the habits for athletes, it came down to chasing women, taking care of too many people, and not sticking to a budget and having too many yes men around them. They surround themselves with a big entourage, and because they're the breadwinners, a lot of people just tell them what they want to hear instead of what they need to hear. And a lot of people hired me because I wasn't scared to tell them the truth because I had that type of relationship with my clients.
Wow. I want to pause for a quick second because you talked about USC being a networking college. And if you had to give maybe some just 2 points of advice, 3 points of advice, like what makes a great networker, right? Because we all go to a session or events, we all walk into the room. Like what makes a great networker? If you can kind of break down the science of networking to build clientele and opportunities in the future, What is the science? What's worked for you?
I go deep into relationships. So a lot of my clients become friends. I learn about their families. I learn about their likes and dislikes. I really care about them as a human being, and it shows. So when they go to do transactions, they feel like they owe it to me because they know I really actually care, and I show that I care. And I also will talk them out of bad decisions too. Like, we're in the business of making money, but you also have to put your client first. And I've always done that. So that comes across, and I have a reputation for that. So when I get involved with other people, they already seen my history and know my reputation. I'm not just going to sell you something so I can make a commission. Making sure that you're taken care of first is my highest priority. And that's what helped me build a serious network around me.
Man, I absolutely love this. And so let's talk about the integration and control that you have, from not only the money standpoint, but the lending side of it, and then helping them to find real estate and help them build their portfolio. But before I go there, what's your average sales price in the last 2 years?
About 2.5.
2.5. Okay, cool. So most agents separate real estate and mortgage strategy. You control both. How does that integration elevate the consumer experience for you, right? Because you understand money at a high level. How do you have that communication with them? How do you help them understand that you're going to educate them throughout the whole entire process and help them be like a portfolio manager versus a transactional manager?
Share my experiences with them. I've got to a point where I understand the situation that they're in, but even before then, I studied the situation that they were in. So before I had money, I knew how people with money react, what buttons to push to make them do business. And most wealthy people are too busy. They'd rather have one point of contact. So for me, a lot of the times I'm dealing with CPAs, financial advisors, attorneys, and I already have relationship with their people because I've already been involved in their life. So for them, it's a lot easier transaction because I can pick up the phone and say, hey, I need this guy's tax returns for this loan. We're about to buy this house. The client doesn't have to do that. The first thing that wealthy people hate is the process. They hate going through the process. So the easier you can make the process for them, the better you are. So with me being one point of contact that controls the whole process, it's just a lot easier, a lot smoother for them. And then I know all aspects. I know what the right and the left hand's doing. We're moving at the same time, so nothing falls through the cracks. I rarely lose a deal when I'm the real estate agent and the mortgage broker. When I'm the real estate agent, somebody else is the mortgage broker, half the time things go wrong. But when I'm in full control, I understand the whole situation. So it's just a lot easier to avoid pitfalls in the transaction.
Really love this, and we can continue on that vein for hours, but let's get into the meat of your investing. And so in 2017, you bought your first investment property. Now, year to date, you're at 25. So in that short amount of time, you're at 25 homes that you own. Now you're in contract for your 26. And so kind of walk us through that early on strategy, how you built this portfolio. And I know that you did a lot between, I think it was 2020, 2023, took some time off. So kind of walk us through how you started to build. And then let's talk about the advantages from a tax standpoint. Because you and I were talking yesterday and you said our biggest expense as realtors is our taxes. And so you had some really powerful things that you talked about yesterday with me in our prep call. And so let's go there, man. Talk to us about that early on journey and how you've been able to continue and sustain for so long and build more and more to your portfolio. So let's go there.
So when it first started, I was a flipper. So I was commission based. I had the mindset of getting a big check off every transaction. At the same time, I started flipping properties. I had a good friend of mine in Sacramento. He's the guy I'm actually closing this 26 deal with. We're actually flipping it because it doesn't make sense to hold it. But he was starting to build a rental portfolio. And he was always talking to me like, why are you doing all that work on this property just to get one check when you could get paid for the rest of your life and accumulate long-term wealth? So in 2017, my wife was pregnant with our second daughter. And at that point, I just started thinking more long-term, more about legacy. And he was always in my ear, and I just start crunching. I'm a numbers guy. I start crunching numbers, and it just made a lot more sense to buy and hold real estate than it did to flip the real estate. So in 2017, actually through the sports industry, I met someone that was investing in Detroit. And I went to Detroit thinking I'm going to just check out the lay of the land, took a trip out there, and I ended up buying a 10-unit building while I was out there on vacation. And that kind of just got the wheel spinning and just got me started investing. And from there, I just started, I started investing in Sacramento. Sacramento became too expensive, so I started looking at other markets. I'm from Cleveland, so I started investing in Ohio. Recently, I've been investing in Maryland. I'm on my way to investing in Pittsburgh. So it's just thinking about long-term wealth, and how I've seen people build wealth over time is by buying assets that appreciate and holding them long-term.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. We spoke a little bit about that. So let's talk about that portion of it. And let's talk about, the advantages from a tax standpoint, because I see this all the time. Like, as agents, we put ourselves in a really bad position because we're behind on taxes. We're not paying them on time, so on and so forth. So talk to me about some of these strategies, man, tax strategies, cost appreciation, all these bonus appreciation, all the things that we've been prepping about. Let's go there, man. Let's have that conversation, because inquiring minds want to know.
So what I'll tell you guys is, as real estate professionals or any high income earner, like he said earlier, our biggest expense is going to be taxes. The people that I've seen be successful are people that learn how to minimize or eliminate taxes completely. One thing that eliminate taxes, it gives you more money to build on. So like if I have to go to Uncle Sam and give him 30% of my income every year, that's 30% less that can grow for me. So what I was talking to Elias about is one of the best things about buying investment real estate is depreciation. And I'll give like a basic overview of depreciation. We won't go too far into it. We can do that on another call. But the IRS allows you to depreciate an investment property over 27 and a half years. So I'll just use some easy numbers. Say I go buy a real estate property that's worth $400,000. They only allow you to depreciate the actual building, not the land. So say the actual building is worth $275,000. I automatically get a $10,000 tax deduction every year just from depreciating the property. Now, some of the things in a property, the IRS allows you to do what's called accelerated depreciation, which means instead of 27 and a half years, you can depreciate over 5 years, over 7 years, or over 15 years. So things like cabinets, flooring, driveways, fencing, just to name a few things, those allow you to depreciate those items faster, which means larger tax upfront. In 2020, What'd you say?
You cut out on us a little bit, but I think you're back now. You're back now.
Okay. So we used to have bonus depreciation, and it was phasing out. In 2024, it was down to 40%. The administration bought back bonus depreciation. What that means is all the things in the 5, 7, and 15-year bucket, you can actually take all that deduction in year one. So use that same example of a $275,000 property or $400,000 property that the building is $5,000. Generally, when you do bonus depreciation, you're going to get 25% of the purchase price of the property as a deduction in year one. So now instead of getting a $10,000 deduction, I'm getting a $100,000 deduction in year one. So a lot of successful people in our industry, what they do is they literally buy real estate just to eliminate paying taxes, because if you buy enough real estate, you can have enough depreciation to wipe out your entire tax bill.
Okay, so I'm sure I see eyes, I see them, looking and curious about that. And so talk to me about some of the strategies. Like we talked yesterday, like how someone will buy a property, but they're only making, $100, $200 every single month. They're like, wait a minute, why would I do this investment and only make $200 every single month? for some people, they say, no, that doesn't make sense. But how do you view scenarios like that?
That's how I thought when I was a flipper also. So I was looking at my buddy's portfolio, and I was actually doing his real estate and his loans for him. So I knew the numbers very well. You have to look at it long term. And one thing I know and that I've seen, and I've been doing this for 30 years from a financial standpoint and from a real estate standpoint, is values and rents are always going to go up. We might have a dip at some point, but they're always going to go up. So if I buy a property now and say I'm only profiting $200 a month, the two things that most people don't look at is, one, not only are you getting a profit, but someone is paying down your principal for you. So if I buy a property for $500,000, say I put $100,000 down, I have a $400,000 loan, I'm never paying off that $400,000. Someone else is paying that $400,000 off for me. Every year I'm increasing rents. So the $200 I'm making this year might be $300 next year, might be $500 in 5 years, might be $2,000 in 10 years. So you really have to have more of a long-term perspective when it comes to rental properties. Most people just want to hit the home runs and get rich quick. One of the best guys I worked for when I was a financial advisor, he was like the smartest guy I've ever met. He told me we're in the get rich slow business. But we hit singles and we're going to get home. Most people want to get home with one swing at the bat, but you just got to get around the bases and eventually get home.
Wow, man, really, really good stuff. So I had a question for you. If an agent on the call who is just starting out, they're experiencing some success, and if you were to go back to zero today with everything that you know, what are some of the strategic moves that you would make today as an agent just wanting to get into their first investment property? What are some strategies that you would give the team and give the group in order for them to start to achieve that? What's be some high level strategies you would give them?
Well, I'm kind of starting over myself, to be honest with you. So I explained to you, I was invested from 2017 to 2022. I kind of took a break for a couple of years. I thought the market would turn, one. Two, I went through a terrible eviction in LA during COVID, which I expected, but it just took a little more out of me than expected. And I joined EXP for the network. And I know everybody here isn't from EXP, but I joined EXP to network with agents in other markets. So for me, California has become too expensive for me to buy most investment properties in most places. So I develop networks with agents in markets where I can afford to invest. So that would be the first thing I do, is try to find and develop relationships in markets where the price point is affordable for someone to get into their first investment property. Second thing I would do is learn about the lending side, because there's a lot of creative lending now that wasn't around when I started the process. So the DSCR loan is an investor loan where they don't care about tax returns. All they care about is, it's called debt service coverage ratio loan. All they care about is whether the property covers the rent covers the mortgage, and what your credit score is, and if the property appraises, and that's it. So I know a lot of people, especially.
I'm gonna pause you for a quick second. Is there a way for you to switch your Wi-Fi? Because when you get flowing, it just gets a little. Is it getting glitchy on your guys' side? Yeah, man. So if there's a way to switch your Wi-Fi, because I know that you have brick building, and sometimes a brick building.
Yeah, let me go to my hotspot real quick.
Okay, all right. So really quick, you guys, are you guys hearing something of value right now? Yeah? All right, so let's do this as Jahi is changing his Wi-Fi, because I want to make sure we hear the rest of his messaging, because it's really powerful stuff. I'm going to look at the chat really quick.
I should be good.
Perfect.
Now.
Perfect, man. Perfect. So let's do this, man. I appreciate everything that's happening right now. Let's go to the chat really quick, because I want to make sure that we don't miss some of this. And there's a question from Dominique Chaplin, and it says, what do you think of an Airbnb out of state? I'm looking into it right now. What needs to pencil out for her to be able to think, is that a good investment for her?
Well, hopefully I'm not the person to ask about Airbnbs because I don't do that. For me, I'd rather I buy and hold long term. What I've heard about Airbnbs is, there's just a lot of damage to the property. The people that manage the Airbnbs charge a lot more than the people that manage a regular property because you have cleaning crews, you have repairs that are done on a continuous basis. But I've seen some people make good money off Airbnb, but I'm just not the person to ask that question because I don't have a lot of experience in it.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's do this, you guys. Let's open it up to you guys and let's get some hands up. And what I need you to do is use the reaction button down below. It's a heart, and then just raise your hand because I want to make sure to get to your questions. And I want to make the best use of our next 14 minutes while we have Jahi here. So feel free, and listen, no question's a silly question. We're here to learn from each other. And so what do you prefer to buy? Is it a multifamily or single family or condos? Oh, did he freeze on us?
Easier to get a loan on. Once you get past 4 units.
Hold on, Jahi. We missed that first part. It cut out. So go ahead and repeat yourself, big dog.
I don't understand why, but let me make sure it didn't go back to my regular. Yeah, it did. Hold on. Let me turn this internet off.
My connection is not bad, Alex, because it's cutting out for other people too. Am I cutting out? Is that what you're saying, Alex?
No, he said his internet went back to his normal internet. He's going to fix it.
Oh, okay. No, I thought, Alex, you said, is my connection bad? No, my connection.
You're good. You're
okay.
good.
All right, cool. All right, so let's get our questions prepared. Jahi, I think we're good. Let's check one more time.
Yeah, I should be.
I think we lost him. It's all right. He'll figure that out and come back in. So let's just get some thoughts and some feedback while Jahi's figuring out the technical challenge. And I love what Ilana said. How long is long-term hold? Like he doesn't have. Now. Okay, there's a good question in the chat below, my friend. And you and I had this conversation. So let's answer that. Ilana asks, how long is long-term hold? And then also, I want to come back to the question of, do you prefer to buy multifamily or single family or condos? Because that cut out there. So let's answer those two questions.
And we've had this conversation. I've been of the mindset to hold properties forever. As long as they're cash flowing, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to do, as long as the area continues to grow and I can continue to raise rents, I hold on to the properties.
All right, good. I love this. And so is there a preference? Multifamily, condos, single family residences, is there a preference for you?
For me personally, I like 2 to 4 units. And what I was explaining before my internet went wacky, over 4 units is considered a commercial loan, which is a little tougher to get. So if you stay 4 units and under, it's considered a residential loan. And why I like 2 to 4 units more than I like single families is because if you have a vacancy, you're not paying the entire mortgage by yourself. So a lot of times on duplexes or on, if someone moves out, most of the rent or all of the mortgage is still getting covered by the other tenants. So I'm not there paying it myself.
All right, really, really smart. And Jahi, I just cut your video, bro. I know we're recording and you're my guest speaker, but I cut your video. I think it would just come in more clear for the rest of the session. So I saw a couple questions in here. I want to make sure to address them. How much is safe to leverage against a property? That's what Alex asked in the chat below. Do you have an answer for that?
I mean, most lenders are going to stop you at 80% loan to value. So me personally, when I go into an investment, I generally put 20 to 25% down. That's what the bank requires. Whether it's a single family, it's 20%. If it's a multifamily, it's 25%. If you guys are first time home buyers, you can actually go buy a duplex with an FHA loan, which is 3.5%, and live on one side and rent out the other. So, I never did that, but that's a strategy that a lot of people take to get their first investment property because it's the cheapest way to get into having a door or two under your belt.
All right, so I guess there's Alex, why don't you go ahead and take yourself off of mute, big dog, in case Jahi misses that in the chat. Go ahead and elaborate on your question.
So like a lot of investors, they take one property, they get it appraised, they do the renovations, and then they get it reappraised so that the value, they have a lot more equity. When they go to the next one, they borrow against it. Do you do a lot of the borrowing against the original property, and how much do you borrow against the equity that you established?
Great question.
I don't personally, but what you're talking about is called the BRRRR method. So you buy, you renovate, you refinance, and you repeat. A lot of people have built huge portfolios off of doing that. Unfortunately, in most of the markets that I invested in, that wasn't really possible because I wasn't finding those type of deals. I found good deals, but to do that, there has to be some equity. And a lot of my properties, I didn't do like full renovations. I might do partial renovations. They already had tenants in there and were cash flowing. So that isn't my level, like what I do personally, but I know a lot of people that do it and it works well. And I know people that, Elias knows Brandon Brittenham. He's built 1,000 doors on the BRRRR method, and he says he rarely has any of his own money in any of his deals. But he was going direct to seller, finding off-market deals, finding better deals, and he's also in a price point where it's easier to do that at.
All right, really good stuff. Great question, Alex. Let's go here. I think inquiring minds want to know top 5 favorite investment markets right now. For you.
From my research and from other people that I talked to, Phoenix is a good market. Pittsburgh's a good market. Detroit's still a good market, but Detroit is a pocket market. You really got to know the city because it's still a lot of like condemned property. So you don't want to end up in the wrong area, in the wrong place. A lot of people are going to Cincinnati, Ohio right now. And then the Dallas-Fort Worth area is one of the hottest markets in the country. That's where a lot of the bigger syndicators are going right now.
All right. And so how does one become a part of a syndication? I know we spoke about this before. Like if maybe I don't have a lot of money to get started, can I start a syndication? Can I join a syndication? How does that work?
It all depends on the level of the syndication. So some syndications, they have a fund that's regulated by the SEC. And so it's like an investment on the stock market. And it's a lot tougher to get in those syndications. You got to be worth a certain amount of money, usually $1 million minimum. It's usually a $50,000 or more investment into those syndications. But syndications that haven't grown to, I want to say it's somewhere around 150 doors in their syndication, they don't have to have accredited investors. So I know people that they'll take $500, they'll take $1,000 in their syndication. But you can also start your own syndication. I was explaining to Elias, there's a company in the Bay Area that just started probably a few years ago called Fractional. And they do all the syndicating for you, but they call it an investment club instead of a syndication. And so the biggest difference between an investment club and a syndication is in a syndication, the syndicator makes all the decisions. You just give them money. They figure out everything. They don't ask you for any permission on anything. As an investment club, what allows you to get past all those rules and regulations is everybody that's in the investment club actually has to vote on every property, every investment that the club makes. So now everybody's involved. So the one person doesn't have all the power. So it gets rid of a lot of the regulations that a syndication has.
Wow. Really, really, really powerful stuff. So you guys, we're going to do part 2 of this next month, and we're going to talk heavily about the difference between an LLC and an S corp and your your own personal filing. We'll talk about all of that next month. I think it'd be important to have Jahi back. How many people vote to have Jahi back next month to come full circle in this conversation? All right, I appreciate that. I knew that would be the resounding yes. So let's go around the room to get some thoughts and some takeaways from our time together today. Let's go to Ophelia. Let's go to Blessing. Let's go to Ilana. So Ophelia, key thoughts, key takeaways from our time together today.
This was so valuable. Sometimes we forget the basics, right? I mean, it's all about foundation too. I have an investment property in San Jose, and I've been wondering what to and how to maximize it and get more doors as well. So one thing, for whoever's on this call right now and is not on the team, or just whoever's on the call, proximity is so important. I don't remember hearing Jahi before and any names or in the past, but look at this. Today, I was like, oh, let me log in. Boom, boom, boom. Like now, I feel more empowered just by this whole collectiveness, right? And this proximity. So that's my takeaway.
Well, I appreciate that, Oaf Dog, Oaf and Goof. Let's go to Blessing. Blessing, key takeaways, and we'll go to Abel, then we'll go to Ilana. Let's go, Blessing. Key thoughts, key takeaways.
Jahi, this was really, very, very timely. And we don't always get to hear from people who deal with high net worth and can deliver it in such a way that makes it feel like this is not this is not out of reach. So just thank you so much for sharing the details, some of the strategies. I'm really looking forward to, hearing more, because this just is the foundation of moving forward as a CEO that we all are. So really, really grateful for everything that you shared. Super grateful for your vulnerability and transparency. And just shout out to all of those grandmoms out there that are holding it down, and the legacy that you are perpetuating that she would be so proud of. So thank you so much for that.
Legacy perpetuated. God, I love that. Let's go, Abel. Abel, key thoughts, key takeaways from our time together today.
Man, I just want to say thank you, Jahi. It was a powerful message. Everything you said was so valuable. I can't wait to learn more. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Beautiful. And then Ilana, let's have you kind of bring up the rear and be the last key thought and key takeaway from our time together today.
Just call me Caboose. First of all, Jahi, thank you. I've been doing this 15 years. I have a very successful career. I have been a little behind the ball in getting properties. I have 3 doors, and I'm definitely trying to do a pivot in my real estate career. I'm working with Elias separately and build out the next 6 years so I can retire. I'm at a very different stage in my career than probably a lot of you. So it's very inspiring to hear somebody who comes from such a humble background and has leveraged this career, which can be so lucrative if you do it right. And it's really, really impressive what you've done. And when you were talking about being nervous and not wanting to share, like, these are the stories that everyone needs to hear, because they are the stories that may take the person who's wondering, can I do this? I don't have connections. I don't have this. I like all the excuses, and there's no excuse when they hear someone like you. So thank you for sharing, and we very much look forward to you coming back. I will be in touch with you because I want to touch more on the investing, and I have not had super success with income producing properties for a myriad of reasons. So I look forward to learning from you and connecting with you. I'm up here in San Francisco, and I just want to say thank you for being vulnerable and open, and wow, what an hour this was. Thank you.
And Jahi has asked me and told me, as my coach, I need you to push me. And one of his challenges is he's like, I want to speak on more stages. I'm scared to public speak. Like, this is nerve wracking for me, right? He knows how to perform at a high level. And so this was a pressure cooker for him. And my advice to him was just lead with your heart, man. All the other stuff, you know how to communicate, you know how to poetically talk about it. But I'm like, lead from the heart, man, and get the people on your side. And how many people resonated with the story with his grandma? Right, where he came from, humble beginnings. And what happened is he created proximity and business intimacy. Everything else that followed, we really leaned in, right? And so, Jahi, I just want to say, man, as your brother, as your coach, I thought that was absolutely incredible. So let's give some love and some light on the screen for Jahi. Jahi, before we cut out, I want to make sure to respect your time as well as everybody else's time on the screen. Any parting words for everybody? And I put Jahi's Instagram down below. And yes, he will be creating more videos. But Jahi, any parting words?
I would just say get in the game. Real estate has really changed my life. And you just have to get in the game, find a way to get in the game. And also, taxes are the most important thing, and we can actually eliminate our taxes with real estate. Everybody else can't do that. Only real estate professionals can take depreciation and offset their ordinary income. Everybody else, it stops at other passive income. So if nothing else, if you owe taxes, you should take that money and go buy a property, because it's better to put in your portfolio than it is to put in Uncle Sam's pocket.
God, I absolutely love this. So you guys, love and light to Jahi. Thank you for our guests for being here. We're going to continue to do this Wednesdays. You'll look forward to having more and more guests. We're going to do a super all-star panel. We're just going to have some fun here, shake some things up, you guys. And so my hope is that you took something out of this that you can apply in your life and in your business. And so thank you, Jahi. I think I'll see you in a couple hours here in Redondo Beach. But you guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being students. Thank you for being open to receive. That's all I want, is for you guys to be open to receive. And as always, my friends, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and make today a day that truly matters. Peace and love, my friends. Have a great day.